it's fun to be surprised by experiments and mistakes. Use the mistakes and just make just turn them into something. Mistake, loop it. All of a sudden it can become a rhythm.
What's up, everybody? It's Keefe from GhostCultMag.com. I'm super stoked to be joined by Dave Brenner of GRIDFAILURE. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing just fine, Keith. How are you?
I am so good. Man, I haven't seen you. I bumped into you randomly like 2 years ago at Metallica, which was
And like
amazing.
3 shows or something.
Yeah, like two shows in a row in 3 days.
Yeah.
For Pantera, which was amazing, and that was like a big highlight for me of my last trip back home. But I've been out on the West Coast for a few years, so we haven't like had a real hang in quite a while. But it's really nice to see you. And
that's the last time. That's the last time you were out here.
I haven't been back. I think next year I'll come back in for another visit. My partner will join me, and I'll hit the East Coast again. It's been a minute. Cool. I just haven't like this last year has been like, oh my god, a black hole of dread and bullshit. But I'm hanging in there. I hope you're hanging in there. We've been talking offline about what an impossible time it is. Are we pinch yourself? Is this any of this real? Are we in the Matrix? I'm not sure.
Took both pills.
I took both pills, and I didn't know what I expected to get out of it. But I think we got what we deserved as a human race. I'm not sure yet. Yeah. And speaking of apocalypse,
sounds like I'm in the right place.
Sounds like you're in the right place. We haven't caught up in a minute. I've been a longtime fan of GRIDFAILURE, which has been your sort of catch-all project for everything you do. And this latest series, the current record that's out now is Sixth Mass-Extinction Skulduggery III. I've been listening to the whole, all your stuff. Whenever I'm going to chat with somebody, I binge everything to just keep fresh and compare and contrast and things. And I do feel like this record in particular is like hit like a particular high for you. I'm getting like a lot of vibes from like the classic 90s Neurosis records and even like old Killing Joke stuff in there somewhere, plus all the other stuff you do, guests and collabs. So first and foremost, man, like you've been doing this for a very long time. So obviously you make music all the time. We may be an idea that this will be the next release, but you're always creating, right? And you did the art for this and all the things. So where does it like what's a regular day in your life outside of work if you're making music? Like what do you go to nature first? Do you pick up a guitar first? Do you think about a vocal first or a weird pedal first? What do you reach for in the Batman utility belt first?
There's literally no set way anything happens. Like this is just a straight chaos project. It's just a straight it's heavily improvisational. It's heavily I don't know, it's like anti-genre, cross genre to the point of being anything goes pretty much. It really, you said you're always creating stuff for everyone else. This record has been sitting for 2 years finished, like mastered, finished. You know what I mean? Trying to catch up with everything. It was and in that time I think I've released between the second record and this one, I think I've released like 15 titles on Bandcamp. You know what I mean? It's just constantly going. I think I have somewhere in the realm of 24 records in some phase or whatever, fully collaborative records of people, random projects that will become records, all over the place. So it's just kind of like everything, one day I want to play bass. One day I need to make beats. One day I'm just dicking around, like you said, with a pedal. Like I'm always recording storms and weather patterns and, found sound and stuff. We live next to the train tracks run right past our house. I'm always recording, odd railroad sounds, industrial. It's really anything. So I just kind of amass and library everything I'm always recording. And it's, random track names, random little things that become snip samples, whatever. And then like all the collaborative stuff happens different ways as well. People send me random drum tracks or random piano stuff or whatever without hearing anything, just use this stuff. And then sometimes I'm sending people basically a constructed finished song with do your thing to it. So it's really all in between. There's no one way anything happens. There's always a million things happening at once. So it's really just like an ongoing collage rather than, the sessions for this record and the sessions for, you know what I mean? It's not very defined. It's like I just save certain things aside and craft them into something at some point. And once you're in the mode, and then it's like, okay, here's the focus, here's the maybe even the title or whatever, then it's like go time. Then it's like time to like hammer, focus in on something and try to finish it, at least get it to a tangible point.
Right on. I dig that so much. I am super familiar. Like, I don't think a lot of people connect the dots. Like, I think of you as like one of my pinnacle favorite East Coast people, with the
Well,
same kind of mindset as me. No pressure. And I spent a lot of formative time, even though I'm from the Bronx. I spent a lot of formative time in Lower Westchester and Hudson Valley because, like, I have friends that lived in Peekskill and then they moved to
sure.
Hastings, and I spent a lot of time. I used to go to a shrink in Ossining, and I had like I had like a belligerent relationship with my counselor for a long time because he was like picking on me and I would pick on him back. I was like, "Who are you trying to
Yeah,
impress with that suit? You have like, I'm like, who you trying to impress with that suit and your three divorces and giving me
yeah.
relationship advice." So anyway,
Should have
enough
switched
about my
jobs.
yeah, enough. She should have switched jobs. I should have switched jobs. Enough about my mother and my problems. But so, like, the nature, like, New York City, which is like a jungle, like it's always, the concrete jungle, like it's always presented. But like literally, even though the Hudson River goes up, north, and there's a bunch of little pockets and towns, but you're maybe 10, 15 minutes from any point of a city life into like wilderness. But, we used to drive down
Yeah,
was it Route 9, Bear Mountain Parkway,
right.
like looking over to the cliffs during a snowstorm to go to concerts in like Poughkeepsie. And I spent a lot of time at shows in like Poughkeepsie and the
No,
Chin.
there's scenes all the way up along,
It's all
all
the
the way
way
up
up
the Hudson
Albany, all the
Valley. Yeah.
things. Yeah, so like there, you really can get deep in nature, and I think about things like the only real one-to-one for this for me is like what Radruna does, where Einar goes into the wilderness camping for a weekend and he just
Right.
records trees and the wind and branches and
Yeah.
babbling brooks, and like Norway seems like very far away from,
Yeah,
you know.
it's probably much easier for them to get some clean sounds than it is here. Like I said, we got the tracks. Like
Yeah,
it's
but
quite
you might get
suburban.
some cool train sounds and a little bit of
I get
heat
a
in
lot.
the
Yeah, there's
wind.
lots of great screeching and rhythmic. There's separations in the tracks that give rhythms, and there's all kinds of that. I mean, there's train sounds throughout this new record. Like even a lot
Yeah.
of the speaker kind of background voices and stuff like that in the intro and everything else. That's right here. But yeah, so you can kind of there's always like lawnmowers, plane, there's airports everywhere, so it's really hard to get really clean sounds. And it's the more you record nature and that kind of and just and delicate sounds of nature and whatever, it's really difficult to differentiate them, how to record fire, wind, rain, and make them all sound like they're supposed to. Sometimes one sounds like the other, so it doesn't really matter if it translates into what you're trying to do with it, what it conveys. So it depends. If rain falling on grass is going to sound different than rain falling on a uh, glass patio table or an awning or anything. So it's like it just depends, the force of everything. So it's a lot of fun, you know what I mean, to incorporate that stuff, and it adds like an immersive sort of element, even if it's not, it doesn't have to sound like the nature store, it doesn't have to sound like a National Geographic documentary or something, but it's something familiar to people outside of when you're listening to music and you're listening to separated instruments. You know what I mean? It gives this more immersive just quality to to what you're working with when you have yeah, the babbling brook or the wind howling through something, or it's you can really change the mood of something with something that simple.
Right on. And do you have like a special portable mic and recorder that you take out with you, or what do you use?
I have a little Tascam digital, probably right here. Yeah. Nothing special. This is what I record a lot of stuff with. They got a really badass. I mean, even broke off all the pieces, and this thing's been left in the rain overnight. It's been frozen and defrosted, and dropped off my mountain bike while moving. And I mean, this thing's been just beat this shit, and it still works great. I've recorded if the press releases and everything for all these the SMES records say that mention recording in actual weather events and whatever, however I had it phrased. Some of it is recording vocals or rhythmic things, whatever, out in the woods, or out, even in the yard in the rain with that, recording storms at night. But some of it I actually had right here in this window with mics running out into a terrifying storm one night, and just here with mics and rain blowing into here. I was trying to like keep things protected, but rain was actually coming. As windy. It was a gnarly storm, and I was just standing here screaming crazy vocals into that. Just there's a lot of different things, just trying it out and expecting like, hey, this is probably just going to get trashed if I don't get electrocuted. I'll probably just throw all this shit out. And then sometimes you keep a segment. Sometimes you're just incredibly surprised, happily surprised. You're like, wow, that actually came out sounding like, maybe not what it actually is, but it turns into something that you're just, hey man, put some reverb on that shit and clean it up a little bit. And like, it's fun to be surprised by experiments and mistakes, use the mistakes and just make, just turn them into something, a mistake, loop it, all of a sudden it can become a rhythm.
It might make for a really good press release, but try hard not to get electrocuted making the next record. Like, if you can, try not to get killed. Like, I'm sure
a lot of it is that's so much of that was recorded like in several just random sessions so long ago. And like I said, like with this record sitting for 2 years and the stuff being spread out over 3 records, I think it started the first one came out in 2019 or something. Yeah, I think so. And the other one came out during the pandemic, so we couldn't even make tapes or anything. It was, we just did the digital thing, and then that's why I made the box set for this one. We were making the third tape, we were making the second tape at the same time, and made this shell. So we put all 3 of them together because it just became a cool idea to do. And so we're already making all these tapes, package them together and put the whole thing together. And yeah, but so I don't think I've recorded in a lightning storm directly since then. I was recording right here in the yard year and a half, 2 years ago or whatever, and I heard a limb come down pretty directly, pretty close to me, and it was pitch black out between lightning strikes or whatever. And I was went out the next day, and there was it was like the Omen. If I was like 20 feet just down below where I was, I would have been straight impaled. Like, I mean, it was a big limb stuck straight into the ground. It was like twice my height. So, yeah, that was just feet away from where I was standing when I was recording, just wind or maybe I think I probably had my camcorder out trying to record lightning that. Yeah.
Risking actual life and limb to make this music. I love it. What else will we do? What else will we do?
You're not going to have fun,
Yeah, you got to keep it interesting. Keep the Grim Reaper guessing. So yeah, man, I've always been impressed with, you've always had really carefully and wonderfully chosen artists, and this is like the kitchen sink version of all of these other records. Like, it's everybody. So you said you track things over time, and then as they start to take shape and the record concept comes together, do you then go, oh, this person for that, or do you just say, here's a tape, tell me what you'd like to be on? How do you do that? Approach
Both.
people.
All of it, really. Some of these submissions were just sent for usage, for me to do whatever with, you know what I mean? Like Jared Stimpfl's Secret Cutter and Orphan Donor does some of the drumming on here, and he just had sent me I don't know, 4 or 5 random drum tracks over different sessions and everything, and a lot of times more like when he's just warming up, he's just such a sick drummer, so like him just warming up and dicking around all of a sudden becomes something he knows I'll have fun with or whatever. And he makes his own drum heads and stuff like that. So, or, the actual the toms and everything. So like, he'll just test things out or whatever and send it over. And I'll, of course, just weave it in. There's at least 2 songs with him on it, on this record. Ben from Megalophobe is one of my most collaborated with people. We've done 3 prior records, and our 4th collaboration is 90% done, 90 more than that percent done now. And he's like, does the live Grid Failure improv stuff with me, and he's been on most of my records. He just had random submissions all over. He even had cello instead of, he usually contributes his accordion. He's got an accordion he cracked open and has wired into, just plug it into effects pedals and amps and everything, and that's normally what he does here. But he has some cello pieces on here. Alex Haber from Alto Music, Heavy New York. I mean, Alex, he had a bunch of piano pieces on here because he does that stuff where he goes to like he'll go play like Lucky 13 and cover Death and Lacuna Coil and stuff on piano and make it sound like classical music and shit. So I had him just kind of like, yo, just do that, like don't cover anything, just jam, whatever. And that, so he said that's a lot of his stuff weaving throughout it to kind of create the art. Yeah, it was all over the place. And then my buddy Steve from Steve Austin from Today's the Day is like one of my best friends. And he was working with his new record the whole way through from the pandemic into now. And I was doing the same thing. And we talk like pretty much every day, and I work with him and everything else. And they kind of grew together, and he had me on the new Today's the Day record on a song, and I had him on this record, and he initially sent guitar for 5 songs. I thought he was going to hit like one, and he sent guitar multiple tracks for 5 of the 15 songs on this record. And then when I was done, I was like 99% done with this record, mixed and everything. I was like, "Hey, Steve, those songs you sent, do you want to do vocals with me on like 1 or 2 of them or something?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." So he goes and he writes new lyrics on top of the lyrics I already had written, and then sends like 3 vocal tracks for each of the same 5 songs. So all of a sudden I was like, this record was done, dude. And, so then I had to work on that shit. And that made me even rework the track listing and everything a bit and all this other stuff, because it added this, he only did really sad, clean vocals. He didn't do any of his harsh, roaring, distorted stuff. It was all these clean, sad vocals like he did on the Lee record and like the new Today's Day and stuff. And these just sad guitar tracks, and just added this extra level of dismal, beautiful sadness to the whole record. You know what I mean? It really, so, there were certain people I hit up, Dan from Black Matter Master, and he plays bass and everything else, and he's in the band Phaeton and whatever, and we work on stuff together, and he masters all my stuff. So I had him hit, we did bass on a track and then upright bass on another track. Leila's on almost as many of my records as Ben is. You know what I mean? It was just so many people. My buddy Rich Muller from Vice Master and everything, I've known forever, like this. And then my nephew Isaac played. He was on one song before I did that, When the Lights Go Out series, when I put him out on Halloween. He was on that one I released last year. That was the first time, but he sent some really crazy tracks for this one, for the song This Was More Than Just Killing, It Was Art. My buddy Mike, who I was in like Boy Scouts with in elementary school, more like high school. We were our first punk band together in like 93 to 96, back in Lancaster. And he sent, during the pandemic, he sent this really cool section of guitar and piano that would be the basis for that song. And then my nephew Isaac is just like this prodigy pianist. He just didn't take lessons or anything, just like knows how to kill it. And he played a bunch of stuff to it. And it just, things like that just kept building and building and building. I just kept adding more and more to it. And, there's 26 guests on this record in the end. And that's like more than twice what I've ever had on any record. It was a lot to manage.
Well, I hear you. So many shout outs there. I love the new Today's the Day. And you know how I feel about Steve. Haber's a buddy. Yeah. Morgan Evans from Ghost Cult and Walking Bombs is on the record. He's been
we've done a record together. Morgan's on a song on this one. Like, a lot of people are returning collaborators like that. And then, Pranjal from Scram and Cardinal Worm. Oh man, it's all over the place.
And Mac, of course, we can't forget to shout out. Mac.
Yeah, it's so hard to think of everybody. Yeah, Mac comes out and records here. I've recorded him, a ton out here. I recorded that whole record with him and everything else. And well, again, he was another crossover because his record just came out a few weeks before this one in the Today's Day record, and he's on several songs of my record, and he's on the same song that I'm on. I recorded him for the Today's the Day song that we're both on, the Secret Police song on the new record. We're both, and then I made the video for it. So Mac had to come back out again and record some video, and it was, this whole thing has just been so, it's like so interwoven. It's, you know what I mean? It's not just I can't really go, well, here's the process. You know what I mean? There's so many processes at work. It's like 80 some minutes long, and it's 15 songs, and it's 26 guests or whatever. It's a ridiculous amount of information, And
it takes a few listens, I think, to process. It definitely does for me. I enjoy repeat listening to things. I still love albums. I know it's probably hard for you to try to put this out on vinyl at some point because it's just too sprawling.
Like 4 LPs, and it would cost, I need a roof, man. I don't have money for that. Yeah. I'll be happy if we sell these 50 tape sets,
Yeah. If I get the lotto, I got you on that vinyl press.
Yeah, that's everybody saying. What's the first thing you do? Like, pay down the rest of the mortgage, and then I just put all my shit out on vinyl.
That's it. That's the dream. That's the dream. Same, different. But I think it's a compliment to you that people want to work with you and continue to work with you. I think
Yeah,
it's really nice, and it makes these records feel kind of new and familiar at the same time. It's like, oh, I'm used to this. It's not.
it's
I'm now
everybody I work with.
a fan.
Yeah, there are plenty of people I work with, of course, that work their way in, but it's I still consider everybody I work with friends. So it's like an honor that these people who are much more musically talented than I am are willing to take part in this thing and enjoy doing it. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm running around like begging people to do anything. I just kind of throw it out there, and anybody who's like into it, I'm just yeah, sure. What do you do? What do you want to do? Like, you want to do something that you don't do? You know, if you're in a death metal band and you play guitar, do you want to try ukulele on my? Like try something new, do something you haven't played, play a style you don't play, you know what I mean, play, whatever. It's more about like a testing ground. It's more fun than it's not. I'm not sitting over here, I'm not going to act like I'm over here like charting music for 19 instruments and then like casting an ensemble. It's like it's more just like pull out of the hat, oh that'll work, like oh no I want this over here, go get so and so, and just like Frankenstein it together.
Right on. I love Frank. It's the Frankenstein season. It's Halloween season. So, I mean, every day is
Yeah.
Halloween if you try hard enough. I wanted to talk about artwork for a second because I don't think people talk enough about the artwork on these records and especially this series. And I didn't know, how you made this cover, particularly this one, but like it's very, of the times. It feels very like modern and needed. Like it looks like, we have skulls and they're on pikes, but it's also like, like disused
Yeah.
metal. It looks like like a junkyard, but also like human remains. It's super cool. It's not like super bloody or graphic like a lot of things are doing these days. It looks real, like real. A real person made this, and it matters to the music.
Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, it's all it's I did a few just stippling pieces, all just pointillism, just billions of dots, you know what I mean, and layering, and I drew just several pieces, not even finished pieces, just layers of that, what you're talking about, just the skulls like in these sort of tentacle piles and crafted into things and whatever. And then I just each record I pulled different parts of those elements together, in Photoshop and whatever, and then just started mirroring and layering and everything. So it's like 90% of like almost all the Grid Failure stuff, artwork and everything I've done. There's a few collaborative records of Megalophobe that other people handle the artwork, but generally it's me doing it, and it's almost all photo manipulation, just all digital. So for these to be these are the first ones I've actually done hand drawn art for, is just these three. There are only three so far. And then it'll be the Teeth Collection and Drought Stick records that come after these two are going to be a new series of drawings. Like I have some other stuff that I'm working on, so it'll be a different style, I believe. But I have to get this one gone first, like so much to work on with those two. But,
it's kind of like produce on the fridge. Got to get this salad stuff out before I can buy more.
You gotta eat that, yeah.
You gotta eat.
Yeah.
That's going bad.
But,
I gotta throw that tomato out. It's looking haggard.
Yeah. So yeah, I just cut all those elements up and put them through all three records in the series in like a sort of, connected uniform sort of look. And then the box set and the artwork for the main website and everything, that's kind of again all remanipulated using all the elements from all three records in one spot. So it was again, it was another massive the biggest undertaking of all of that was, after having all the art done, was putting all the lyrics and credits for each song into a J card of a cassette for 15 songs, all of my lyrics, all of Steve's lyrics, and then all of the credits for 26 collaborators on over 15 songs. It was, I don't know. I tried it several times, whatever, and I was like, I just said to Greg Nefarious, I'm like, you're pretty good at this shit, man. You think you make it fit? And somehow he made it fit into like a 3-panel J card of a tape. So
that's insane. I have done a little bit of album layout for CDs and cassettes, so I know how well hard that is.
I've done a lot, but this was
I know you have
a lot. This was just so much, man. It was like when they go into John Doe's apartment in Seven, and there's just that rack of all those notebooks full of shit. It was like, put this in a tape, It's like,
yeah, you know what the opening of Seven is? John Doe is really great at scrapbooking. Hey, not only am I super cool at murder, religious theme murders. I'm good at scrapbooking.
He's independently wealthy and spends all of his time buying crafts at Joann and Michael's.
And no one put that together. Hard to believe. You could have probably figured out the glue on was it the fuck me in the ass. Anyway, I don't remember. I'm a lapsed religious person, so fuck that. Anyway, good movie though. I just want Morgan Freeman to narrate my life like the last sentence in that film. Ernest Hemingway once said that, the life is good and worth fighting for. I believe in the second part.
Second part, yeah.
Second part. Yes, a lot of the second part. So obviously you got new stuff on the horizon. I know it's obviously touring is limited. Is there plans for a sort of release show for this where you perform some of this material, or when are you
the truth about Grid Failure Live is that every show is very just singular, and that's why I release so many of the live recordings either on YouTube or Bandcamp or both, because it's 100% improv. Like, I never have anybody learn any of this material and play it out. It is something I want to do. It's in the plans to do so at some point. But like you said, it's like the timing is just, there is none. And then to go, hey guys, I got booked at, Trans Picos on a Tuesday night with a bunch of, dudes on tables, and, come out and we'll just hang out in the dark and make shit up, and I can pay you and maybe like a beer ticket. And, it's really hard to be, don't go make money don't go make $400 at your tattoo shop tonight. Come out and lose money with me and, in Bushwick. So it's like, it's just a hard thing to just put together everything else. When I do, we go for it pretty hard. You know what I mean? It's, everybody's really into the whole collaboration thing. We might go, hey, we're going to start out the set this way or whatever. Okay, fine, cool. And that's about, 10 minutes, 15 minutes in, let's take a break because I want to do this other thing. And we'll have like a couple of cues, and that's pretty much it. You'll see like a pause at some point, and normally it's like the main lineup would be like me and Ben and Rich, and you'll see the three of us kind of take a breather and all take a sip of a Modelo, kind of almost in unison, and then like somebody will just nod, I'll give a little point over to Rich that starting on the drums or whatever, like, and we just kind of feel it out. So no, there's no plans of anything live as of now. I'll probably book some stuff in the new year. We do Queens and Bushwick and like some of the local surround, and then Philly have played a bunch, and New England have played Portland and Providence and stuff like that, and Kingston upriver. But like, it's I don't see us going beyond a couple of one-offs or whatever, 3 dates maybe here and there. And I'd like to. It's really my favorite thing to do is to play shows, even when you're just making shit up like we do here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
the couple of Grid Failure shows, the couple of shows I managed to catch were game changers, man. They were revelatory, and words start to fail me because it's nighttime here, and I'm sure it's late where you are. I don't know if maybe three middle-aged guys taking a break in the middle of a set to drink a Modelo in unison is like the new Kiss guitar thing. But
that's
yeah,
way
man.
cooler than Kiss.
Well, for sure. So we've talked a lot offline, off the record over the years about music. And so, I end these interviews with a wild card question. And of course, your record collection is the stuff of legend and is behind you. So I had to ask you, like, what is your favorite record on vinyl? Like, what is your favorite record you own that you have on vinyl? If you had to pick one.
Probably, oh, damn. I don't know, man. Probably my Misfits Walk Among Us with the Halloween bag.
Oh, sick.
I might have had it out. Listen to it. Yeah, it's dead, man. It's time of year.
It is the time of year.
Yeah, I'm holding it. Jesus Christ. Behind Mingus and Nas. I'm holding it. Yeah.
Sick.
Probably the Walk Among Us. I believe it's the second press. I think the first press had a pink cover, but still got the
yes. That's so sick.
Probably that one.
That's awesome.
I got thousands of 7-inches and TVs and everything else, but yeah, vinyl to me is still the most fun. It's the most fun to enjoy. Not storing it and whatever. Obviously, you can stream things anywhere you are in the world, but I don't know. I can't stand earbuds and Spotify. I like stacking up a few good records and listening to the whole thing, you know.
Right on. So I need someone to lean on. Maybe you and I will go pay a visit to Rick Rubin's house. I need Rick to work with Danzig to get those Danzig originals, like the '88 self-titled, out on real vinyl, not a bootleg. You know, like that's my main
Yeah.
struggle right now. Rick, man, come on. Fuck AI and Suno AI and all this bullshit. You know, the guy who's made like some of the best records of my whole life is now fucking with AI. This is why we need an apocalypse, bro. Like this is the
Yeah.
the music is the soundtrack, and we need the rest of it to follow. I was rooting for
Everybody's already in it, man. Everybody's
for a
already
second. I
just
was rooting for the
buried in their
rapture.
phones, and yep, everyone's being sucked in. Terminator didn't teach anybody shit, man.
Nothing. We didn't learn anything from this shit, bro. Have you seen this boy? But anyway, yo, man. Just a pleasure to see you, brother. Thank you for this music. Thank you for just doing what you do in general. Like you're so. I feel like this is so pure and good, and hopefully inspires me. I hope it inspires others to do it themselves and do. Anything is possible. You can absolutely make music at home and do. Follow your vision. Keep it to your vision.
Yeah. I never, I've been in punk bands. I've been in a bunch of different bands over the years, but like, I've never been the one recording or engineering anything. And like, I figured it all out just to, for this. So Grid Failure turns 10 years old next year. And it's, like you said, this feels like, this record with having all these friends on it and help make it what it has been a really special thing beyond what it usually is. And I never expect anybody to pay attention to review or interview or listen to this shit or buy it or anything. I put it out and I might finish a record and put it on Bandcamp that day, so it's done. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't expect anything back at all. And it just means a lot when people do take part in it, and when anybody listens to it, when anybody buys something, a track off of Bandcamp or whatever. It all means a lot. You know what I mean? It's such a negative project, but there's a lot of friendship and love in it. Between a lot of really good friends and everything. So it means a lot when people enjoy it or at least endure it.
Endure it. I love it. Perfect. No notes. What a great ending, and I'm happy to endure many more. So keep making them, and you keep making them, and I'll keep checking them out.
Thank you, man. Thanks a lot for having me on.
Always, brother. Have a good night. We'll see you soon.
Really good hanging out with you.
Always a pleasure, man. This is as much for me as you. Trust me.
Cheers, buddy.